Hey, you want to talk for a second about the long Van Jefferson touchdown against the Packers and the Rams game here? And part of this is just because it's a concept that I've talked about quite a bit from an offensive perspective and how that works. And so I kind of want to bring it up here. So we've got too high look. We've got these guys here. I'm not sure entirely what coverage this is, but we're just going to call it too high shell because that way I avoid looking dumb if it's something else. But the concept they're going to run, it's one we've talked about before. It's essentially, and I think it's a little in cutter there from OBJ, and this is a little in cutter here. It's basically the Mills concept, which is something we've talked about before. I'm not going to go in great in depth because I feel like it's every week I bring this up, but it's an old West Coast concept. I first saw it in a Bill Walsh, I think the 1982 Niners playbook that was called the Fox 2XY hook. But the idea, it's one of those things, everything's cyclical. This is not something that necessarily worked last year against a lot of teams because just the nature of it. You've got a post here. The post is the big hitter. I've talked about this before. That's the post was always the alert in the playbook, and that's you only hit that if something's right. And then Spurrier came along and Favre started chucking and saying, "Why don't we just hit that first thing?" So the reason it works against too high and not single high is because against single high, picture a guy back here, like your post safety, that doesn't work because you've got a guy kind of defending this. Against too high, we'll wipe that out because that's we don't need that. Against too high, you can see right here, it's split. So the idea is this dig here, you run it deep enough, and it's actually run a little deeper. It's like a 10 to 12 yard dig, I think, is that you're triggering this guy down. So you're triggering that one down, which opens space behind, and then you've got this guy playing over the top of that, so you've got a window to hit. So that's why this works. Let's clean this up. We'll draw it up one more time, and then we'll talk about it. These are the things here. So bomb, 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 bomb. So you're drawing up this guy. This guy falls over the top. This guy here gets taken here roughly. This guy drives down on this. And so you basically you've created a post, you've created a void because you're bringing this guy up. And you can see the angle that Amos is at. This is exactly what he's looking to do. And so he's just playing the side. It's split field read. That's all it is. So we're just going to run it. And this a concept designed specifically to beat too high. And you'll see exactly how this plays out. We'll pause it. All right. Breaking. I think I've seen some stuff. This is the OBJ effect, and maybe that's true, but this is just kind of how this concept is drawn up to work, really. So you've got a dig. He's driving on it. You've got this over the top. He's driving, and him driving means you get there. And you actually have, I kind of drew this up differently. He's going there, which means you've got over the top there. So it doesn't matter. This is another than safety driving down here. So this is, some invert coverage. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. Again, I don't know exactly what you call it. But you've got the two safeties driving down on these shorter routes, leaving man-to-man on Van Jefferson, and the impact you have is the same. You've created a void. The guy you have on the receiver, on the post receiver, is an outside coverage. That's how this ends up working. Stafford has time, drops back. Preston's or that's Kenny Clark coming off a twist there. It's right in his face, but by that point, and you can see him right here. Outside. Everyone else is inside. Lay the ball up over the top. Really, against too high, again, this is something you'll see a lot more now, just with a lot of the too high defenses that are being played, because with a post safety back there, this doesn't work. But with too high, you're splitting those guys, you're drawing one guy up, you're creating a void over the top, and you're just laying the ball up there. So, again, it's a really nicely drawn up play. You got to protect it, and the Rams protected it just long enough, and Stafford made the throw. So, good on them.